I'm going to explain a little bit about, before we get deeper into the topic, about how private equity works, right? Private equity firms work. And you'll appreciate this because a lot of people don't know how private equity funds work. They don't know about Series A, Series B, Series C funding. They don't know how IPOs. There are a bunch of different things that people honestly don't know how it works. But truthfully, a lot of the stuff as a small SMB, small to mid-sized enterprise, you really don't need to know how it works if you're just doing your thing. And that's creating a business to start generating some additional wealth, some revenue for yourself, and hopefully building something that you can scale and that you could pass on to your kids. Now, this is how private equity works. Okay, so I literally had to explain this to this person because, again, I said they're not a business person. Okay, the person said to me, "We do not invest or fund anything that we don't understand." Okay, fine. Don't need any money from you. Good. Also, we would want to have a say in what happens in the day-to-day operations of your business. Well, and I'm thinking to myself, well, say if you did decide to fund it, but you don't know my business, how could you have a say on what goes on in the day-to-day operations of my business? Truthfully, you would not. Okay, you would not, because again, you don't understand what it is that I do. Okay, so now I explained to the person how private equity works. So basically, I want you to follow me. Like, this is probably the most general illustration or example of how private equity works. Okay, here we go. So let's just say if maybe 5 people get together and they say, we want to create a private equity firm, right? And maybe one person specializes in real estate, one person specializes in technology, one person specializes in healthcare, another person specializes in something else, right? And so basically, those 5 people become, when they open the private equity firm, they become what is called GPs, or general partners, right? But just because they're a general partner doesn't necessarily mean that they have the money to go out and start funding businesses or investing in businesses or purchasing businesses or whatever that is, right? So what they need is the funding. And so what they do is, besides hiring what they call junior partners under them, right? People that help them in the day-to-day operations, that go out and help them secure the funding. But the GPs, the general partners, they're the ish. Okay, they're the main people that are driving this, right? But what the GPs do is go out and find funding. Now, the people or organizations that fund them are called LPs, which are limited partners. Okay, a limited partner could be a university endowment fund. It could be a sovereign wealth fund, which is an investment fund that's owned, say, by the state, or it could be a pension plan. Okay, and oftentimes if you worked on a job, your pension plan invest in various companies and stocks and stuff, and then oftentimes they do it through private equity firms. So they're the GPs and they're the LPs. Now, say if the GPs, they've had a goal of raising $1 billion, right? They raise $1 billion to these LPs, which are the funders, right? And of the $1 billion, they raise the entire $1 billion, and then the GPs take the $1 billion and invest in, say, 5 companies, right? And say 200 million here, 500 million there, whatever it equates to as spreading out equally $1 billion, right? Now, keep in mind, this is a very, very general example of how private equity works, right? And so now, once they've invested in these different companies, let's just say one company within a certain period of time becomes profitable. Say if they invested 200 million in a company, but the company now has generated a profit. Now the company's worth, now they have like 400 million, right? And then the next company, they invested in the company and it doubled or tripled the return, right? And then one company decides that they're gonna go on IPO, and then from the IPO, which stands for initial public offering, that company blows up, and it triples or doubles the return, and then one company that was invested in absolutely 100% goes bust. Nothing happens with it. Okay, it shuts down. Now, let's just say the total money in from the LPs that funded the GPs, right, was $1 billion, but the total return was $1.5 billion, right? So the $0.5 billion is the profit, okay? What happens is the initial $1 billion is paid back to the LPs, right? And the $500 million or 500 million that was made in profit is split proportionately based on the LP's investment into the fund. 80% of that $500 million goes to the LPs, and the other 20%, because they orchestrated all the work, goes to the actual private equity fund managers. In other words, the GPs. Okay, and so that's how it works, and that is how a lot of businesses, well-known businesses, get funds or private equity firms invest in them.